Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Math Made Easy with Terry in 10 minutes. So we're going to the second part of the symbol J. In the first part, I introduced the concept where I said the symbol J is the same thing as saying square root of -1, all right? We talked about that in the last video, and I also said, therefore, we can now predict that minus J is going to be equal to the same thing as -√1. So that means where you see -√1 is exactly the same thing as minus J, all right? We talked about that in the previous video. So now in this video, I'm going to solve one more example. Then after that, it's advised you should go back to the textbook, pick any of those quadratic equations you could not solve earlier because you had negative square root, and play around and find the answer. All right, so before I proceed, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you've not clicked the notification bell, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please do so that when I post the next video, you'll be the first person to know. All right, so let's get cracking and let's start solving. All right, so just a quick one, just to remind you what we said in the last video. Okay, so we said that J is the same thing as square root of what? -1. And also we said minus J is equal to what? Minus square root of -1. All right. So that was that. So let's assume now we have this question here. All right. In this example, so you were told to solve x squared plus x plus 1 is equal to what? 0. Okay. So if formally a quadratic equation, you will not be able to solve this. You would have just skipped it and say no solution, or even though you use complete the square method or any of the methods to do that, you won't be able to do it. But now we're going to use the formula, quadratic formula now to solve it. And it's still the same process, complete the square, but that when we get to square root of -1, we're going to impute J instead. So in this question now, we know the A, all right? We know our A in here is equal to 1. The B here is equal to 1, and the C also is equal to 1. So it's important you go back and have a look at this. It's very important you go back to the series on quadratic equation, watch the video, and make sure you understood it very well. So let's go. So we'll have minus B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC divided by what? 2A. It will give you the value for x. So here we're going to have x is going to be equal to minus, the b is 1, plus or minus square root of b squared, which is 1 squared, minus 4 times 1 times 1, okay, divided by 2 times 1. Are you seeing it? So now we can proceed. So we now know this is going to give us -1 plus or minus square root of 1 squared is 1 minus 4 times 1 times 4 will give you 4 divided by 2. So we now know that x is going to be -1 plus or minus what? 1 minus 4 will give us -3, okay? All divided by 2, all right? So similarly to what we did late in the previous video, we have -3 here. We then have to break it down. So we have square root of -3 is the same thing as saying square root of -1 times square root of what? 3. Now, if you remember in lots of source, I told you square root of A times B is equal to square root of A times square root of what? B. And so that means this is the same thing as saying square root of -1 times square root of 3. But remember, I also told you at the beginning of this video, I also told you that square root of -1 is equal to what? J, if you remember. So this is the same thing as J multiplied by square root of 3. So that means this is going to give us square root of 3 is going to be plus or minus. As you all know, this is going to be plus or minus. So it's going to be plus or minus J square root of what? 3. Are you seeing it? So then we can go back to what we had. So x is now going to be -1 plus or minus J square root of 3, all divided by what? 2. Now we're done with the complex number part. So we're now back to just algebra or simplifying fractions. So we now have x is going to be equal to -1 plus j root 3 over 2, or is going to be -1 minus j root 3 all over what? 2. So we can separate this based on fractions. So I remember I told you a plus b over c is the same thing as saying a over c plus b over c. We talked about this in basic algebra, okay? So that means we're going to put it here. So x is going to be -1 over 2 plus j root 3 over 2, or it's going to be -1 over 2 minus j root 3 over what? 2. And that will be the answer for that. Okay? Or if you want to write it also, you can say minus 0.5 plus j root 3 over 2, or plus 0.5 minus 0.5 minus j root 3 over 2 is the same thing. And that is that for that. So that is pretty much it. So if you have questions like this and you just have the negative square root, okay, square root of a negative number. So now you know how to do it. It's basically remembering that square root of -1 is equal to what? J. All right, good. All right, that'll be that for that. So let's dive into something more interesting. So the next video, we're going to talk about the powers of J. All right, so it's very crucial that you subscribe and click the notification bell so that when I post the next video on the powers of J, so how do we play around when we have J squared and things like that, or J cube and the rest of it? How do we go about it? So please, it's important you make sure you click notification bell so that when I post it, and if you have any question, please do not hesitate to contact me. Send me an email or put it in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right? So see you soon, and I'll see you in the next video.